Dinosaur. When I was a kid, when I was a little boy, I always wanted to be a dinosaur. I wanted to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex more than anything in the world. I made my arms short, and I roamed around the backyard. I chased the neighborhood cats. I growled and I roared. Everybody knew me and was afraid of me. And one day my dad says, "Bobby, you're 17. It's time to throw childish things aside." And I said, "Okay, Pop." But he didn't really say that. He said, "Stop being a fucking dinosaur and get a cheat codes." It's March 3rd.
That's good.
I like how you pull up your arms and do like a little T-Rex growl.
Even though we're not recording videos.
Nobody can see me. I can do whatever the fuck I want. It's March 3rd, 2016. Welcome to episode 87 of the Cheat Codes Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. The next hour is us drinking a few beers and going over our favorite bits from the past week in video game tech and pop culture news. My name is Joe Arroyo. I am your host today, sitting in for Joe Erskine again this week, who is off at the Catalina Wine Mixer singing Andrea Bocelli.
Bocelli?
Bocelli?
Yeah.
No, then you do this, the Mi fin de tre actores tu. That's what he's working on. Oh, very good.
Yeah, Portobello rated. Come on. I watched Step Brothers.
We'll test Erskine on it when he comes back. Well, today we're coming to you from somewhere in suburbia, wearing our Chewbacca masks inside a tree fort that's made from a boat. Today I'm here with Cheat Codes contributor Mr. Nick Boats and Hose Golish.
Hey, how's it going?
Cheat Codes friend of the show and developer at Soulbound Studios, Nathan Don't Touch My Drum Set Hitchcock.
I don't know why Nick got boats and hoes.
Cheat Codes community manager Chris This Sucks Campbell Dix Morris.
It really does, though. It really does.
That's perfect.
I couldn't hold my cool. I didn't write this, guys. And we're very pleased to welcome game industry freelancer and producer Lola Uptown Girl Shiraishi.
Hi. Hello.
We're happy you're here. Today on the show, we'll do some karate in the garage to make sense of the main topics. Former State Senator Leland Yee, famous for fighting against violent video games, was, wait for it, sentenced to 5 years for his involvement in extortion, gun running, and accepting bribes. We'll mention the idea of the ever-evolving hobby that is digital gaming and the barrier of re-entry that a decade can make. And we'll take a close look at the Spintires kerfuffle. A dev was thought to be responsible for sabotaging the game when his publisher did not pay him. For today's lightning round, we'll turn our beds into bunk beds to get the following bits. So much room for activities, guys. Is eSports ruining PC gaming, or is it just changing it? And lastly, we'll decide if $85,000 is too much for the most badass Metal Gear Solid inspired prosthetic arm you've ever seen.
Spoilers, no.
Lola, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. For the listener, maybe fill us in on what you've worked on in the past and maybe what you have going on, for the future.
Sure. Well, I guess I'm mostly known for being at Square Enix and Kojima Productions in the past, so a lot of Final Fantasy, Deus Ex, Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear!
Sounds exciting.
Right now, I'm just working with multiple clients, mainly localization and production. Working on a mobile game with a film license, but I can't really talk about it.
Is it Star Wars? It's Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a pain in the ass is localization?
14 and a half.
That's lower than I thought. That's lower than I expected.
Yeah, lower
Really?
than I expected.
I mean, you can, it's localization. It's not straight translation, so you kind of if it's too much work, I'm just going to change it.
All our base
English.
belong to us. That's how that
Yeah. I
happens.
See, yeah,
Yep.
butts. The creator of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. I guess someone I'll pitch you defining localization in case there's a listener that doesn't know.
Yeah, just in case, because
Just in
that's
case.
just such a mainstream term, localization.
Yeah. Who wants it?
Oh, you were offering it up?
Yeah. Who wants to explain?
Why didn't you have Lola explain it?
That's
I like that better.
Yeah.
Localization is a process when you bring mainly a game from another region or culture, like Japanese, and when you bring it over to a region like America, you obviously translate the conversations and everything, but you also change the context to make it so that it's appropriate for, American audiences. Like, certain things like ESRB is more strict on certain things, or religious or any cultural, differences that needs to be edited.
Oh,
Mostly that's localization.
Yeah, so
Would you
aside
say
from the part,
that basically localization could not bring themselves to fix Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball, and that's why it's not coming to the States? There was no way they could make it appropriate for our region, our delicate sensibilities.
I think it's already appropriate. I don't see why we don't have it already, honestly.
rated E for everyone.
Who doesn't like volleyball?
Harmless sports, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It's one thing to have to deal with changing characters and having it actually fit on screen when you change the language. It's another thing to deal with the fact that something that might be rated, acceptable to a certain age group in another country is not acceptable here. That's got to be. Which one's a bigger pain in the butt? Like making stuff fit on screen appropriately, or dealing with, the.
Or changing someone's age from 14 to 18 because
Right.
she's totally 18, you guys.
That's all of the above, really. Yeah, like some of the context, like I always get like Japanese dialogues that are like quirky. Like if you watch anime, there's always like girls that are like surprised, or like they have like a response that are like maybe 5 words long, and then when you actually translate in English, it becomes like 3 sentences, and I can't really fit it in one dialogue box. I'm like, why is this happening? Or when certain conversations don't really have the right words in either languages. Like I know this in Japanese, but this doesn't exist in English. Those
That's
are
gotta
like
be
the
really
most
hard. Yeah, I imagine. Absolutely.
I remember hearing about like German's one of the hard ones also because like their words
yeah.
are so
Yeah.
ridiculously
Pen,
long.
Thunderslamen.
They just append words. They have words for appending they just append like tens of words together to make a new word, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's just one word, but it's actually like 10 sentences of word. Yeah.
That's gotta be hard. Do you
Yeah,
translate
like,
German?
I went to Germany, and
Oh, yeah.
their train station is like Hoffenbachen. It's like a
Baffen Schnagenmagen.
like
Yeah.
so like long. It was like a full sign. I'm like, what is this? Oh, it's the train station. Why is it like 13, 15 letters long? I don't know. It was so long.
Because they can. I don't know.
They just like make up new words, and it becomes longer. Apparently,
It's
that's,
funny-
That's their thing.
They like to
it's
like
a challenge
they,
for
they,
them.
they take words like, they're like, oh, this is a box on wheels. We're talking about box on wheels, and then like station for box on wheels is like the place where the box on wheel stops sometimes, not really on time, but sometimes it does stop on time. And it turns to a German word.
Are there like single German words that would take up like a full tweet, and you just like said one
Oh,
word,
yeah.
like
Probably.
like crackers or something?
Yeah, there's like a word for like the stick of like an axe that has been broken by chopping wood too much or something by a man with like a beard and a red jacket. It's a very specific like word, something to do with an axe.
Yeah,
and it's
my
really
friend
really long.
who's in Germany said like, I forgot what it was. I think it was like condoms or birth control or something like that, but it's literally translated into baby killer.
Oh no!
Like what? Like serious? I hope he's joking.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
we'll leave that to the listener to look up.
don't tell the right way that.
We need a fact checker. All right, very quickly, let's talk about what we're watching this episode down with. When we're not pretending to watch Cops shortly after rubbing our nuts on our roommate's drum set, we're usually looking forward to doing the show and what we're drinking while we're on it. So this week, we're enjoying some brews from the folks at Go Brewing Company. That is GEAUX, which is the cool kids version of Go, in case you're wondering. Specifically, we're drinking the Saison Rex, such that we never lose our inner T-Rex. See how I tied that in at the beginning? Anyway, all right, stay young, but over 21, people. All right, plenty to talk about, so let's do this shit, right? Topic number 1, people. A while ago, we talked about former state senator Leland Yee, who, as a staunch violent video game critic, made a bunch of ruckus about how games were poisoning youth and blah, 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 we're all going to hell. Johnny McHypocrite over here, though, was recently convicted of accepting bribes and running guns from the Philippines. I mean, the guy spent a portion of his political career decrying just about every game from Rockstar, as well as titles like Assassin's Creed. Then he goes and gets pinched by the FBI for being a corrupt politician. Go figure. Guaranteed, he shows up as a parody character in the next GTA or Saints Row game. That's what I've got my money on.
Probably Saints Row, yeah.
Yeah, because, irony can be absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the meat of it too much. I just kind of want to feel out the reactions of everybody on this first off. So
I guess I'll go first. Ha. Yeah, I think you're right. It's ironic. It's one of those, like, people often misconstrue what irony is. Like, they often think, oh, well, this is irony, but this is truly
This is
ironic.
irony.
And it's funny that he's an asshole.
It's pretty hilarious, I think. Is it unexpected that politicians are corrupt and they're saying things like ban video games because it's going to get more votes or something?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I can definitely see how he could have. I don't know. He stood up against video games, but he's still like running guns on the side. Like, I feel like any politician could have like still run guns on the side and stood up for video games also. So I don't know if that makes any sense.
it's like some
it's
Steve
politics.
Buscemi like actor shit right there. It's a whole nother level, I think. I don't know. Morris?
Well, I'm just kind of like reading over the whole like text of like how he planned on getting away with all of this. And it's just like,
Oh, yeah, his
it's
dialogue.
so funny. Someone who basically was so adamant about guns in video games being these terrible things, and he's just like, yeah, whatever, like, what's the big deal? Like, smuggle guns into the country and make a few million, like, everyone's gonna be fine. It's just like, just basically like, even like to the fact that he was trying to put himself in a position of deniability. It's just like,
Right.
Yeah.
so he
like,
could throw the other guy under the bus. It's like, oh my god, dude!
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's so
what a
like,
tremendous asshole.
backhanded and messed up. Yeah.
Lola, what's your initial reaction to this whole ridiculousness?
I mean, I feel like video games is like an easy target for these these senators to like target and like gain campaign money and stuff like that. That's how it seems like, because he just wanted to make money to, what was it? Like, I read some of the document saying like he owed like 70,000 for his like failed mayor campaign. It's just like, then he started taking all these bribes just to.
He
Just
wanted to
like-
keep himself in office, essentially.
Yeah, like that's crazy how, and then it, like you start reading more these names in this like Senate, I guess, or anybody in this like government is just like all like either competing each other. They're like cutthroat. This government is not cool right here.
Yeah. It's very cutthroat, and that's the problem. The moment you set up a situation where the competitive nature of people supersedes the ability to make everything better as a whole, or like it's no longer healthy competition, then people start doing whatever the fuck they can to keep office or make enough money to stay in office.
Yep. That's what senators do. They try to
Yeah,
stay
you
in
would
office.
say-
They try to stay in office for as long as possible.
He was basically prepared to exchange his vote on pending legislation for campaign donations. So it's totally feasible to think that someone's like, yo, look, like, if we let these mature video games get out there, like XYZ, whatever, like, don't worry, vote against it. We got you, or we'll line your
Yeah.
pockets.
That's how I feel like it too.
I have a question, actually, because if you have somebody like this, right, who's willing to go to these kind of extremes, there's one thing to have somebody who's willing to say anything to get your vote, and that's where the whole video game argument kind of comes in to play, I think, here. It's another thing to say that somebody's willing to go as far as to be charged for the following: accepting bribes, extortion, money laundering, weapon trafficking. The list probably goes on, right? Those people are trying to obtain the money to stay in office for completely different reasons. What do you think he has to gain when he's already obtaining probably millions of dollars as a result of all of these other schemes? What do you think he actually has to gain by just saying video games are bad? Is it the vote? Is that the difference? Money versus the vote itself?
Well, yeah, I think so. Like, I think it helps some because I don't know. I don't want to chalk it up to like uneducation or something of like the general populace voting for a senator or something. But I mean, if he could just say video games are bad, there's a huge majority of people that be like, oh yeah, I agree, video games are bad. I'm going to vote for this guy. He doesn't actually think video games are bad, probably, which is maybe the real irony of this or something.
Right.
He built his platform on villainizing video games, and so there's this problem where politicians can't admit that they were ever wrong,
Right,
or
they
they
don't
look
flip-flop
weak.
if they
Yeah,
can.
and so like you end up like Hillary Clinton. You look you're really weak, and nobody wants to vote for you anymore. But
So you're attributing this to a rabbit hole.
Like you're saying,
I'm saying that like that he just got stuck. He wanted to get everybody's vote, so he said video games are bad, okay, and so now that it's whatever a decade later, he's stuck with that silly notion that video games are bad, and I mean he just can't really get out of it because he's already committed himself to this party platform.
That makes sense. Does everyone agree with that? Do you think that he gets it, that it's for the vote at that point, or?
I think a lot of the documentation from like this case in general just states the guy just wants to stay in office, and and video game was an easy target for him to kind of just use. It feels like that way because I don't feel like his. I mean, I don't really know if he was like motivated like religiously or like just in general like, oh, I feel video games are like terrible things, like that one guy. But yeah, I know. Yeah, I forget his name already. So
who was? I don't know.
Wasn't there like a lawyer that was like all about video games are evil, and then he totally got?
Oh yeah, the guy from Florida that got disbarred. Why can't I remember his name right now? Like Jack something or other,
yeah.
right?
Thompson? No.
Yeah, I think that might have been it.
Yeah.
Someone who has a keyboard should beep boop boop. But yeah, so this is different, right? It's clearly not that he actually feels that way. I mean, that should be obvious,
I feel like
right?
he got stuck with this kind of campaign, and then now he got caught doing numerous things.
Super the opposite of his platform. Yeah. Well, no, way worse.
Well, I'm thinking like just as bad as the things that happen in the video games. Like he's pretty much there.
Like co-conspire was terrible. Like he was like the president of the education board or something, and then they took like money for like what was it? A parent wanted to have like guarantee a placement for their child or something, and they took money for that. Like what? Like,
which is just like bribe after bribe after bribe to accomplish something. I am going now. I strongly recommend to the listener to actually look at these court documents. You can find them fairly easily. Actually, they're totally available because it would surprise you how entertaining they actually are to read.
The story.
He's like, yeah, I'll never get caught. Just blame this other guy and set him up, and I'll just totally. It's like, whoa.
This is right up there with a Preston and Child novel or anything I've ever read in my life. So I sincerely recommend that you read this, but I am going to read just a couple excerpts from it to give you a real picture of what's directly in this, and I may pass on something so you don't have to listen to my fucking voice for so long. All right, so one of them is, quote, right, Yee demonstrated he was a public servant who was willing to betray the trust of those who elected him by being prepared to sell his vote to the highest bidder. The investigation revealed that Yee concocted 2 schemes in which he was prepared to exchange his vote on pending legislation for campaign donations. So that's the class. I feel like that's the classic politician situation. Like
definitely.
Yeah. That one happens more often than you think. So maybe not as juicy. You want to take this one, Nathan Hitchcock?
Yeah. Let me read it first. Hold on, I need to feel for it.
Now.
Okay.
Ready, go.
Finally, Yee showed himself to be a manipulative schemer who sought to insulate himself from possible prosecution by putting himself in a position of deniability should he be scrutinized by law enforcement. And I quote, if the time came... Oh, no, that's not
Still a quote.
Still the same quote. There's an ellipsis right in the middle of it, and it was really confusing. If the time came, Yee was prepared to blame Jackson. Who is Jackson?
That's his co-conspirator.
His co-conspirator, yeah. Son of a gun. He was in front of the bus? What a jerk. Yee was prepared to blame Jackson and claim he did not know what Jackson was saying to others. In fact, Yee stated this quite plainly to one of the undercover FBI agents during a conference call. What?
So another great thing about this whole situation.
He's monologuing over a conference call.
Well, the thing is, like, the coolest part about this, if you listen, if you read the documents and stuff, is that this is a whole set of undercover FBI agents that were a part of this for a long period of time, that were offering him bribes, that were seeing if he would buy... who would give the vote for funds and money.
Yeah.
And so there were these moments where he gained these trust from these individuals he thought were just other corrupt people.
Yeah.
And so then he's like confiding in them, like, oh, by the way, I'm going to throw Jackson under the bus if I ever get in trouble or whatever.
Idiot.
Is Yee fucking screwed?
I don't know.
I mean, I would say he probably is.
He's probably pretty screwed. Yeah.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, here's the last quote I will share because this is the fun one.
Can Nick read it? I'm tired of your fucking voice.
Yeah.
Nick doesn't like to read.
Oh.
I don't know how.
All right. So another quote is, as part of his plea agreement, Yee agreed that a meeting in which he participated with Jackson and co-defendant Wilson Lim on March 14th, 2014 constituted a conspiracy to knowingly import and bring into the United States any firearm and ammunition in violation of Title 18 of the U.S. Code of Laws. As to the aforementioned meeting, he admitted that he met with Jackson Lim and one of the undercover agents and discussed the agent purchasing weapons from the Philippines to import into the United States.
Hold on. Did you say any firearm? Like he was just like, any guns you got, I'll bring them in.
When I read that, I think if it violates Section 18,
like, yeah.
I want that shit.
That.
Right?
Oh, that's a Colt. I don't want that. It's
Yeah.
a semi-automatic. No, give me the fully automatic.
Give me the Title 18 shit right here. That's the stuff I want.
Yeah.
That's like, it's like Lord of War shit. Like, have you ever seen have you guys ever seen that movie? That movie's
Nicolas
really
Cage,
good.
one of
That
his
movie
good ones,
Probably his
yeah.
best movie.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I don't know about his best, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, there's not a lot of good ones.
Face Off, guys.
The Rock.
The Rock. Come on.
Oh my god, that movie was amazing.
Yeah, isn't it? It holds up. It holds up.
it's
It does, dude.
But yeah, like this is like what I would play in a Grand Theft Auto game. Like it's exactly what
This
it
is
would be. This
storyline.
is the plot
Yeah.
of like
where
a Grand Theft Auto
do
game.
I hijack a car and start this quest?
You would import weapons like illegally. That's the mission that's the highlight of your game.
Yeah, you fly a plane. Obviously, it's flying an action plane, and there's some skydiving involved or something. Yeah,
Well, everything's about rendezvousing at some dock at 3 a.m.
But so obviously, you have to skydive down to the dock from the plane. Yeah,
Yeah. You just mix Just Cause with this game.
they're the same game. Like they're all the same game. Do you have a gun in your hands? You're running around. It's all the same game.
I'm surprised not any drug trafficking in or anything either. It's just kind of, it's up there. Like it's ridiculous. Like I said, it's like a Grand Theft Auto game. It reminds me like specifically like, and one of the I've only finished like a few of them, but like of Vice City. Was that the Miami one or the one that's supposed to take place in Florida?
Sort of.
Yeah, the 70s Miami one or something, or 80s.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of that. Like, I'm not sure if it was a senator or something, but it's like this big time politician or something. And like, he's the end game or something. He has like this giant house, and you eventually end up like taking it from him or something because he like goes to jail. But it just reminds me of this. It's exactly video games, and he's the one saying no video games. Like, that's, I don't know.
All right, so
I don't know if I have a point. I'm just ranting.
No, that's fine. As a final thought from everybody, I'm curious to know what you think. This is a very important question. Do you think that this becoming public about somebody who was so adamant against video game violence being so corrupt and so wrong and so terrible for our country in general, do you think that anyone is going to care and actually think that maybe video games aren't so bad as a result of there being a large contradiction here?
This is hard because I feel
other than gamers.
I know this is hard for me to answer because I'm a gamer and I'm like immersed in that culture, but I don't even hear people having that conversation anymore about video games violence being bad for the public. I feel like the conversations I'm having are like, oh, video games may be better at educating our children than our teachers are, or something. Like, let's put Minecraft in these like classrooms. Like, that's what I'm hearing now, which is kind of cool.
Very awesome positive response from Nick Golish.
Yeah, I agree. Like, is this still like the early 2000s? Are we still having this debate? Like, are video games bad? Like, we've pretty much. I feel like there've been enough studies in between now and like early 2000 that have said like, no, video games don't impact your children. Don't make them like into evil megalomaniacs or
corrupt senators.
Yeah.
Lola, how corrupt are you now from video games?
Oh my god, the terrible.
That was an honest question.
Yeah. Wow.
No, I don't. I have to agree. Like, I haven't heard much about the arguments of like video games are ruining your life. It's more the focus has shifted. I mean, with like the PS4 and the Xbox One being so, huge, hugely marketed. I feel like it's more shifting towards like the future is now. The VR. Minecraft is just huge. It's just exploding. And everyone, like, if you have a child that's into, anything games, and, they're probably playing Minecraft now. So I think the focus has shifted from being, like, games are violent and, it's bad for our children. Now it's more like, oh, my God, Minecraft is amazing. It's like the new Legos, but I don't have to buy Lego sets. Just have this kid plug himself into his computer, and now they're just creating worlds and worlds of things in Minecraft. And I think the argument of video games are violent has kind of shifted away.
Yeah, I think more positivity. I'm loving this. Everybody's so glass half full over here.
Like,
it's great.
Recently, I mean, it's been in really like the indie market has like boomed and everything. There's like all these different games, and they're not like these ultra violent AAA games where people are just shooting each other. Rockstar, Call of Duty. It's not just that. Like, kids have access to these other type of games that they can play that are fun, that are really good, because they're like on the market now because of indie development, I guess. I don't know. That has something to do with it, maybe.
Yeah. Chris Morris, are you on the same boat with everyone here? You think that the violent talk is kind of on the way out?
Well, I mean, people are still talking about it, but I guess it's just not in the news as much because we've got more pressing matters, like, maybe Trump possibly getting elected.
Okay.
But
he is for and against violent video games.
Just to kind of go back and answer the original question, like, I don't think that this guy, like, going away is going to have or would have had any impact on the game violence narrative, because that narrative was just kind of like gone anyway, and the only people talking about it are like game websites, right? Not the mass media. So like the rest of society just doesn't. They're not going to care. They're not even, most of society is not even going to know that this guy was anti-video games to begin with, probably.
So your argument is that people aren't going to care, but everyone else's argument is that it doesn't matter because no one's actually talking about that anyway, right? That's pretty much where we're at, which is good. That's a good place to be.
I have a devil's advocate argument to make. Maybe he played violent video games, and that's how he ended up gun running.
Oh, God. Okay.
He played GTA 5, and he was like, this is the plot to GTA 5. I could totally be this guy in real life.
Moving on, you jerk. Topic number 2. We'll make this one a fairly short one, but it's mostly just an interesting question to consider. A rather thoughtful piece was written by Chris Plant for The Verge this week, talking about how one of Chris's buddies, who hasn't played games regularly since the mid-aughts, recently came back to the fold and was completely lost by what he returned to. So, he presents an argument that while most traditional hobbies stay the same, games are essentially this crazy, evolving, growing, and complex beast. So the platform changes, the screen changes, even controllers change. The rise of mobile gaming, online multiplayer proliferation, and simulators, eSports, they've yielded a landscape that is so vast that Chris's friend was probably right to feel a bit daunted, perhaps. And welcome to the future, everybody. I think the most important thing I want to try and digest from this is if you stopped doing some other hobby, like I used to make puzzles and now I don't, and it's been 10 years and I'd like to make a puzzle again. I'm pretty sure I could make a puzzle. But what hobbies do you feel like fit the same mold as video games, where if you return to it, you'd be like, no? Or do you accept that? Like, what happens if you took a hiatus for 10 years on gaming and came back?
I mean, I could easily probably answer like any kind of RC, like model kits or something where like there's new technologies. Drones right now is like, oh, I used to make model cars that I could drive around the parking lot. Now I can make a drone that I can use to like fly around the neighborhood. I mean, that's kind of similar, I guess, but a little different. I I don't know. It's hard to think of other hobbies that have evolved that much, maybe.
I mean, the only other two hobbies I can think of, like sailing, and sailing doesn't really change. I mean, it's pretty much the same as it was in the
unless the way wind changes.
Yeah, unless wind, like we lose the wind and we have to sail on the sun or something. Which is solar sail's actually a thing. But yeah, I digress. And then like cars, like I can see cars potentially like, oh, we come up with a new form of combustion, like electric cars.
A new form of combustion, and you mentioned electric cars.
Electric cars isn't really combustion, but yeah, like I guess coming back to the car scene after 10 years and seeing electric cars being such a huge thing would probably be kind of jarring, like something that you hardly ever see. It was a rarity before like the 2000s.
No, yeah, I can agree. Like I've worked on cars before, but if you put me into a Prius or like a vote, I would never know.
Like, how do I shift?
I wouldn't. No, I like not drive. I'm saying like,
where do the explosions go?
What is this piece right here that I just took out of my car? Like, what does this do?
It's a battery. Like, spoilers. It's electric. It's a battery.
It's just a battery.
Lola, can you imagine? Can you actually envision the idea of if you hadn't been up with games throughout the last 10 years? Would you actually find it mind-boggling if you had gotten a time machine 10 years ago and like showed up today?
Oh man, yeah, that I think it would throw me off. I think it would actually kind of turn me off of games because I'm not with it, right? Like I'm imagining like back in like '96 and then jumping straight to 2006, like that's a huge jump because '96 was like what, Super Nintendo? No, it was more closer to PS1, right?
It was cusp.
Right before PS1. It was like Sega Saturn or something. So like Nintendo 64.
Sega
Imagine
32X.
that too, like
Yeah.
2006 was what, like Xbox 360?
Yeah.
Right around there. Like that jump is already crazy. Like it skipped Dreamcast, and like people are like playing online and playing like things like Gears of War. Probably it's probably like way more like shocking.
Yeah.
I do remember the switch from single stick GoldenEye to dual stick, strafing with your camera on the right stick. Imagine that just showing up, like you just got in a time machine and you're like,
Yeah.
what, how the fuck do I do this?
Yeah, but see that. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just talking to somebody about this where like I was playing Eco on the PS2 when it first came out in Japan, and like when you play Eco right now, it's like super slow, kind of boring. Like everything's like there's so minimal, right? Like there's not much crazy action happening because it's like one of the first like full 3D PS2 games at the time, and but back then I was like overwhelmed because I'm trying to understand how the character works, how the swing, and how your character interacts with the environment around you, and that was like like the stepping stone for me to get into 3D. And like I had that step, but like when it's like I feel like his dilemma with like the 10-year gap is like when you play a game that was released like 15-20 years ago and you're like, wow, people actually play this game. I feel that kind of change is just too much.
You're talking about the killing the magic feeling, because I have that feeling with movies too. If you go back to something that you used to watch and love as a kid, but you didn't watch it for forever, and you've been seeing all these other movies come out, and then you go back and watch it and go, oh, I wish I had never watched that because it totally ruined the way I felt about it.
What, really?
Do you not have that? Because I feel like that's a normal kind of reaction to.
What? I still watch like Star Wars and be like, yeah. Okay,
fair enough. I agree with that as well.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but the contrast is like really noticeable though. Like a game that's 10, 20 years old is like from comparing it to what's available now. Anything like games, movies, TV shows, it's just way more different. I can understand this guy's shock and like overwhelmed.
I feel like there's a little bit of like that uncanny valley almost, where if you go back far enough, there's just nostalgia. Like going back and playing Super Mario World, just nostalgia, even though it's terrible. Like,
It's not terrible.
32-bit graphics. I mean, the graphics are terrible. Like, there's no deferred rendering. Like, how are they supposed to draw their ice shaders?
No lighting.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but it's still fantastic, And but there's this space where you go back and you play the games and you're like, this is so weird. It's so terrible. Why did I like this? And if you wait long enough and you go back, it's just nostalgia. So maybe it's just that uncanny valley. Maybe he's just still that 10-year gap is just that perfect uncanny valley where you just wait 5 more years and it'll be great.
Chris looks like he agrees with
He
you.
looks like, yeah.
Oh my god. I can't even believe I just heard someone say that Mario Brothers is terrible. But
I know the graphics, just the graphics. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
They're 32-bit graphics.
There's no
That's all I'm saying.
subsurface scattering.
There's no,
Chris
yeah,
Moore.
how is the skin supposed to look different from the eyes? I don't get it.
so moving past that, hold on a sec. Let me put on my game designer hat. There we go. All right, it's on. So I've actually thought a lot about this problem, especially as it pertains to esports. And so with like traditional sports, they don't really change, right? The rules don't really change. They've been established for I don't even know how long.
Decades, yeah.
Every single game is basically like different, with the exception of like these annual franchises like Call of Duty, Halo, etc. Which is why, consequently, they also happen to be good esports candidates, because the rules are established and they don't really change from iteration to iteration. But yeah, these drastic shifts in technology and like input methods and mechanics and all that, it's like you have to relearn everything almost like completely over again every time, which is why I mean I could see why it'd be daunting to kind of just like take a break from playing games, because you like stop learning, right? So your like library of stuff that you know about video games just kind of like hits a brick wall at some point. And that's why you see someone who played Super Nintendo try to go play PS4 and they're like, I can't do it. I only play Super Nintendo games. Like, don't talk to me about anything else.
That makes sense. I guess when I read this article, like I agree with you, and I think the whole intent of the article was to make everybody agree with them. Like, oh yeah, like somebody coming from the past is going to have a difficult time adjusting to the future. But the way I guess I really took this article, it was almost like a jack-off piece of how great video games have become right now. Like if you actually read it, it's like, oh yeah, he may have had some problem difficult like adjusting, but he's going to be just fine because games are great right now. Like the indie market is booming. There's Minecraft. There's whatever the hell you want.
Teaches people now.
It's
great.
Like it is a great time to be a gamer, and you may be having a tough time dealing with it right now because you haven't played games for a while, but you're gonna like it.
Yeah, so get over it.
That's what I read. I guess.
I think that's absolute bullshit. Like, sure, like games, like we have some cool stuff happening in games right now, but they're not any easier to play. That's not even an accurate statement whatsoever.
No, he's saying they're so great that you shouldn't be concerned with how hard it is.
Don't worry about it.
I'm not saying that they're easier or they're like easier to get into even. I'm just saying like there's so much more to play now than there was 10 years ago. Like, indie games didn't even exist then. Like,
I was agreeing with you. I was just saying the article was bullshit.
Oh, so okay. I see.
Yeah. No, you're not.
I like
bullshit.
to think that he was bullshit.
Yeah. No, not at all. No, I wouldn't just like call you out like that so like angrily. Like
I liked it. I was excited.
I was a little turned on.
No, it's just like you could say they're great, right? But if they're not great at teaching you how to have fun with them, then they're not really that great. And I think that modern games don't do like an awesome job necessarily of teaching people with such this huge skill gap of like getting to the point where they can have fun with them again.
Oh, I agree with that. There are definitely entry level like problems with a lot of video games, but there are so many to choose from now. Like you can play whatever the fuck you want. Like,
that's true.
You can be a flower. You can be a ninja. You can be a corrupt senator.
we can. That was a great way to go full circle on this. I think in a nutshell, it comes down to any hobbies you ever have. If you walk away from it, no matter how, even if it is puzzles, like I'm gonna disappear from puzzles for 10 years and come back and be like 3D puzzles, or there's always gonna be something that has changed.
What, they made Tetris in 3D?
Exactly.
Well, even our jobs, like programming. Since I've been in school, which was like a year ago, there's been like 2 versions of C++ that I haven't done any research on. Like I don't even. It's just.
constantly evolving.
Everything's
fired.
changing. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I don't need to know that. I know there's like Lambda functions and shit, but nobody cares.
Don't worry about it.
Lambda function and shit. Hold on, back up, back up.
When did they add shit?
Yeah,
Is that in version 2.5?
That was in plus
So-
15. C++ 15.
But I think for no matter what hobby it is, it may be more extreme in certain technology aspects of it or avenues, but at the end of the day, anything you ever walk away from and come back to is going to have evolved in some way, right? Can we at least agree upon that?
Yeah.
Except sailing, yeah.
Except sailing. until the wind changes. Okay.
Technically the wind changes every day, but whatever. I get the gist.
All right, let's move on to topic number 3. So if you've logged into Steam recently and tried to boot up Spintires, you may have noticed it doesn't really work. In fact, it has been removed from Steam's shop recently. So people started asking why, and the developer gave an interview to Eurogamer.com explaining his very strained relationship with his publisher. As fans began to dig into code and people who get obsessed with conspiracy theories and whatnot to figure out what was breaking the game, they noticed some strange things that we will get to in just a moment. Then they began to go down the good old rabbit hole of speculation that the dev had sabotaged the game to stick it to his publishers. There's nothing like conjecture to get people and us all riled up. Nick, you read the article and did a little research on it. What kinds of things were in there that made people think that?
Well, there were certain tidbits of code, I guess, that people backwards engineered that found out that like it caused the game to crash after a certain time period of maybe playing it or like a date. I can't remember specifically, but the way that it looked, and because people knew that there was a strained relationship between the development team and the publisher, that people obviously like suspected that the guy had put those things in there maliciously to actually force the publisher to actually pay him the money that he's owed. His excuse so far was like that stuff's in there to prevent piracy, so that if somebody like pirated the game, that it would stop the game from working at a certain amount of time. And so far he's been fixing those bugs. Is what I've read so far. I mean, it's like hearsay, I guess, based on what he said, based on what other people said. I don't think the publisher has said anything because they're the ones who have, I guess, not paid him his money, and they haven't made a comment about the whole thing.
Are they not legally obliged to pay him his money if he shipped the game?
Since when does a publisher not pay you the money and then ship the game?
Don't you need the money first before you build the game? Isn't the publisher funding you to build the game while you build it? Like,
I don't know. Apparently, he made some kind of deal where he didn't get paid up front. He got paid maybe some of it to develop it. Then he's going to get paid more. And then he didn't get all of it, even though there was like some kind of deal that they're doing. And then he didn't like fix the bug right away or something, even though he didn't. He may have known about it. He may not have. It's a lot of conjecture and a lot of speculation. And
all right, so let's speculate. What do you guys think?
It was really strained, I guess, the relationship between the publisher and him. But yeah.
Yeah, Lola or Chris? Anyone want to chime in with some ridiculous speculation on this?
Oh man,
speculation makes the best news.
Yeah,
It's probably not too far off from what people speculate, though. I mean, usually these things, they're just not too far off, but they just never know if they never get confirmed. So, yeah, and probably the publisher's just like, well, I don't know what we can say, so let's not say anything.
yeah,
and Steam pulled the game from Steam.
Why did Steam pull the game?
because the game doesn't
work.
Oh,
Yeah,
was that really the criteria? Because
I feel like that's a really
I feel like you can pull a lot more games.
I feel like that's a really brilliant way to fight piracy. If I don't make it work for anyone, it fucking won't work for the pirates either.
That's true. Yeah.
It was the guy came back with a statement. I think Pavel, he said, I would never do this to the gamers. I want to put out a game that people like. I want to put out a game that people want to play, and I would never sabotage it so that they wouldn't be able to play it. But that doesn't necessarily explain. That wouldn't say that he wouldn't like not fix a bug, because because he's not getting his money, I guess. But I don't know. Like
When did you not learn how to exchange money at the same time? Like if the thing was that you had to put the game, like here's money up front and then money when you deliver the game, I'd be like, fuck you, you can't even get my last update on the repository until you give me my check. Like, I don't understand the part where he was like, here's the game with bugs already. There must have been some serious shit going down way outside of what we know in order for him to purposely put all that stuff in there before the deliverable.
They didn't even have like some kind of meeting or conference with the publisher for like a year during development. Like
That's
they weren't
weird.
they weren't
That's
even
so
talking to
weird.
each other. Like there's like why I don't know. Like why would
It's so weird.
so
It
maybe
is, right?
like he maybe intended to fix these bugs, but the publisher didn't get back to them with the quality, like with the QA telling him that, hey, there's bugs when you do this with the game, it breaks. If you play it for this amount of time, it breaks. Nobody got back to him to fix these bugs. So maybe he didn't do it intentionally, but there's still like some kind of breakdown in communication between the publisher and the developer.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I have my theories. I have like this pretty wild speculation that I just kind of want to throw out there.
Do it.
So I feel like Spintires was kind of this like underground, like kind of secret society mind manipulation trick. And so they knew that all the people that were going to buy Spintires, they were going to basically like slowly brainwash them over time to get them to turn into Trump supporters. And then now that the mission has been accomplished and it's obvious that people are like heading out in droves to kind of like destroy the country. I don't know. Where's this guy from? Pavel? Is he from like somewhere in Eastern Europe? Whatever. We'll run with that. So some country in Eastern Europe, they paid him this money to build this like mind control software, and the time bombs are in there so that the software self-destructs people before people actually discover what was happening, so that they can like wash their hands of it. So they did pay him the money. It was just like some underground like black ops group that did it. And this whole like charade, this public charade, is just kind of like an elaborate ruse so that people don't catch wind of what's really happening. But what they don't know is that the Steam and the Reddit community, they're like really good at like ARGs. So eventually they're going to get to the bottom of it and find out that it was like a legit conspiracy and not an ARG, but they're going to be confused at that point. Like, wait, is this like an ARG or is this like a real thing? Like, fuck, I don't know. What do we do about it? All right, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's go play Counter-Strike.
They're so good at ARGs that they invent ones that aren't even there, that the Steam that Valve
solve
puts out.
real life conspiracies. Yeah.
And now there
And
are
then
a
we
ton
find
of
out that
people.
Half-Life 3 has actually been in development this whole time.
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
That's because a lot of people were digging up holes in the middle of like, California. Right.
Okay, yeah.
That was
So
a
anyway,
callback.
that's my theory on this whole thing.
Wow.
That makes a lot of sense, and everybody should believe it.
I think so too. You put 9/11 into your, you type it into Word and you change it to the what font is that? The
Wingling?
Wingdings font.
Yeah.
You get a plane and 2 towers.
Wait, do you really?
Microsoft
Actually,
knew.
you do. Just so you
Oh
know.
my god, I didn't, that's crazy.
Just so you do. All right. So Chris Morris can mull over that, come up with a new
that for the
conspiracy.
next month. Like, what does it mean?
What does it all mean? Okay, that's enough of that crap.
Wait,
all
I
right.
have a question.
Yeah.
Where's Gorliston Great Yarmouth in? Where is this?
What?
Oh, where is the place where these guys are? Or
Like, I just looked up what the publisher was for this place, and I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Uv?
It's
Probably European then.
Uvi?
Uv? Or like oy vey?
Ubi.
Oh,
Oy vey.
E.
It's
I-
real.
I think it's Ubi, yeah. I don't know.
It's
And
Uv.
like based in Gorston Great Yarmouth.
Oh yeah, that's
Gorton
in
Great Yarmouth.
that's in
Yarmouth.
that's in Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh really?
No.
What?
It's just all part of the conspiracy. Don't
I
worry about
don't
it.
know.
Doesn't actually exist. Not a real place.
It's not really there.
It's a shell company.
Yeah. It's about the size of a footprint inside of the United States.
It's like
Yeah,
some
UK, I think.
clandestine base in the middle of the Pacific.
They have a UK URL, so I think that might be it.
I can get a UK URL.
I'm just saying, like,
joeroyo.uk. I'll get it. For
Are you from the UK? That makes sense. Okay.
registered in England and Wales.
All right.
Wales. So it's Wales.
And I
Walish.
wouldn't deny that kind of thing. There's the most amazing city names I've ever heard in that
they have
area.
like a ridiculous one.
Yeah, they have, and I'm not even gonna.
Welsh, Welsh is pretty crazy. So
I'll
almost as bad
comment
as German.
Yeah,
on the SoundCloud.
I don't want
post
to deal with
the
that
name
kind
the
of
city.
localization.
Yeah, don't do it with Welsh.
That's a good point. Okay. Jeez.
Oh, God, that's so bad.
All right, we're gonna take a short break to fill you guys in on this week's contest. BRB guys. Last week, we continued our giveaways program by offering up more Gang Beast Steam keys courtesy of the folks at Bone Loaf. We're happy to announce this week's winners are Muhammad Y, Aokyoni, David D, Justin P, Bradley, too cool for a last name. Congrats to the lucky winners. We'll be sending out those keys soon, so keep your eyes on your email inboxes. Thanks to everyone who played. Make sure to keep coming back. You're eligible each week. This week, we're offering up one Stardew Valley Steam key. It's killing it on Twitch and Steam right now, so this is your chance to get in on some of that adorable farming RPG action. If you enjoy Harvest Moon or Animal Crossing, this is definitely right up your beanstalk. So make sure to check out cheatcodespodcast.com to see all the ways you can enter to win. Good luck, and remember, the first guy to milk a cow and drink it was likely a massive pervert. Welcome back. All right, panel, it's time for the lightning round. Here's how it works. We're going to take two quick topics and give each member of the panel a minute to chime in, uninterrupted, for the most part. At the end of each minute, we will award the panelists a quantity of some type of points based on, you guessed it if you listen to the show, nothing in particular at all. Topic number one. Richard Cobbett wrote a piece for TechRadar.com this week arguing that esports are ruining PC gaming. He argues there is a large disparity between players who won't touch games without some sort of esports longevity and those who simply enjoy a game without broadcasting or feeling like they need to compete within it. He references many current and aged games and peppers in a few comments about toxic online behavior as well. Admittedly, he isn't a fan of esports. Just let's think about that for 1 second. Okay. But is he actually onto something, or is this just a closed-minded view of an old-school gamer who would like things the way they were? Due to the interest of time and where we're at right now, I'm going to sit this one out, and we're just going to do 4 people. I'm actually start with Nate on this. So you have 1 minute to share your feelings on whether or not esports is ruining PC games.
All right. Ready for this?
Yep.
No. I get a minute.
50
You
seconds.
don't get to. You don't get. You have to concede the rest of your time.
No, I get a minute. I said no.
That's
All right,
it.
That's all you get. It's done. All right.
Okay,
That's
cool.
not the lightning
We'll
round
go.
works.
All right, fine. I'll concede a minute.
Wow, that was fantastic. Insightful and amazing. Nick Golish, 1 minute.
Hey, how's it going?
Go for it.
I think this guy is. I don't know. So.
I already said no. You can't.
I know you said no. Okay, I'm gonna say no. This guy's just kind of upset. There's so many PC games out there and multiplayer games out there. I mean, his argument was like, oh, all these games that are trying to be multiplayer, are trying to be like, they're trying to be esports also. They're trying to like, I don't know. Maybe this is true of like AAA games. Publishers picking up games because esports are really popular and they want to push them to be more like esports. But there are so many other games out there right now on PC specifically that are not like this. They're just fun, casual games in the indie market, especially that you can just play with friends, co-op, whatever you want to do. They're not esports. I mean, this guy's just upset that that esports are so popular right now. I guess I don't know. It's just,
He's mad.
He's
mad.
lol.
Okay.
Lols.
I'm gonna award you 100,000 esports fans.
I want
for
riot
that.
points. Give me riot points.
Nope.
Reward
I gave you
me
fans.
in
Zero.
riot
No,
points.
give him 0 riot points. Come on, Joe.
I can
I
use
will
riot points to buy things.
I'll give you 0 riot points then. That's what you wanted. Okay, cool.
God.
It was a good use of a minute. You
It was
kept it succinct.
okay.
Okay. So let's go to Lola next. You have 1 minute to chime in on esports ruining PC games.
Okay. I agree with. I don't think it's ruining PC gaming in general. I think that the pie is kind of diverted into esports. But I think he sounds bitter with I feel the same way with like games like League or Dota, where I want to play and you have to play with other players, but if you're not good with it, you're just not going to have fun. So I think he kind of is bitter that he's not good with these new type of games. I mean, if you're not good, and it's so skewed because like if you don't start when everyone else is starting, then you just have a really high, challenge point where you just kind of have to get better really fast.
I like it.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
Oh, shots fired. That's fantastic.
He's just not good enough.
You mentioned pies, so you're gonna get 6 slices of pie. I don't know how big they are, but you can have
What's
6
the
of them.
ratio? How many slices?
How many slices are in the
It makes
pie?
up a whole pie. You get 1 whole pie. All right, Chris Morris, you have 1 minute.
Yes, this is kind of a complicated thing to answer. I think short answer, no, they're not ruining PC gaming, but they are definitely changing the climate of PC gaming, especially AAA. Because, look at kind of where all the longevity is, and like if you really want people to stick with the game and build a community around it for like years to come, it's also a smart investment if you can pull off esports. If you spend $50 million on your game and your game can last you for 10 years and make $1 billion, then there's going to be a lot more incentive to make that type of game than there is going to be to like, make a single player experience. But, in like the indie darlings are kind of this exception to the rule, right? I think this is more for maybe AAA game devs, and maybe his fear is that esports games will push those out of the fold, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case.
That was good.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
Chris tries to bring it down too much. Like,
Yeah, he tries to be.
he tries to make it too real.
No, I'm
That's too
kidding.
real. Yeah, go back.
After
Be
that
funny.
whole
That wasn't good.
conspiracy theory speculation, come on. Give
Yeah,
me a
right.
little bit of
right.
credit.
saying
Chris,
that you
Chris
balance
Morris,
out?
you get 16 people who left gaming 10 years ago and returned to play Lawbreakers.
Nice.
And one's AFK.
All right. Topic number 2 in the lightning round. James Young, a biological scientist who lost his arm in a train accident, showed off a very unique prosthetic this week. It's Venom Snake's arm, essentially, from the Metal Gear Solid series. For those who are not paying attention, it's got a watch, a USB port, LED lights, and some very fancy design. Made in conjunction with Konami, Global Racing Technologies, and Open Bionics, it comes with a staggering $85,000 price tag, so don't spill your latte on it. Is it actually worth it? Is this indicative of the future of wearables, prosthetics, and tech all coming together to convert humans into cyborgs? You don't have to go that far with your minute, but, it just depends on how you feel. I feel like Nate wanted it first.
Yeah,
He's raising his
I raised
hand
my
like a dumbass.
like I was in school. And I was like, teacher, give me the minute. Teacher,
Right,
teacher.
Nathan, please don't just say yes.
Yes.
Ready, go.
Yes. Actually, I think it's funny that they're talking about like an $85 million price tag, because when they showed you
$85,000.
85,000, okay,
Calm yourself.
a little
buddy.
more manageable financially, moderately, more feasible. But they only showed like basically, if you look at the pictures of the arm that they showed, it's only like LEDs. The only thing working was the LEDs in it, so it only lights up. The whole like all the mechanics of it, all like the motors and stuff for the fingers weren't working. They just glued them in because they didn't have time to actually get them up to date or whatever. I don't know what they were doing with them, but it didn't work basically. So they just had an LED, like a light up arm. So it's an $85,000 light up prosthetic.
So there's no drone that comes up.
Let him finish this minute, and then
So-
someone else can tell him he's a dumbass.
Okay, well no, I mean okay, all right. No, I'm done. I
Is there-
forfeit my 9 seconds.
Okay. Oh God, I'll give you 5 prosthetic arms that don't work for that minute that didn't really work. Lola, I think you might know a little bit more about this. Does it not work? You don't have to answer that question. You could just talk about whether or not it's worth $85,000.
I don't think. Well, I mean, if I didn't have an arm, any prosthetic would be awesome to have a use of an arm.
Even
I
if it
don't
was
know
just light
if
up.
it actually costs $85,000 just to light up and such, but I mean, actually the Deus Ex team is like super into prosthetics. I think I want to share this to them because actually the Deus Ex team is super fans of Metal Gears, and Metal Gear team is super fans of like Deus Ex. It's kind of weird, but they're like in love with each other. They should just kind of
They should get
hang
together,
out,
yeah.
but
They should date.
they should really date. But I don't know if an actual prosthetic costs $85,000, but I wouldn't be surprised
It probably does.
if it did. Because if you can just like some of the things that's actually on the market, or that it looks really awesome and it actually is functional. So $85,000 to have an arm again might not be too bad.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll give you $85,000
I guess I never thought about
great.
it
for that.
with me
Yeah.
not having an arm.
I'll send a check.
I think that's a victory. Yeah.
No, I like that. It was very positive. I didn't know anything about this not working. I thought it does have a
Yeah,
functional USB port.
I mean-
It's got the watch on it. It's
Yes,
got,
they have that planned,
but the fingers don't work. That's what you're mad
didn't-
about, right?
Well, they
Okay.
didn't work. Like the article says that they couldn't get the mechanics of the fingers to work, so
Gotcha.
they just like
Okay.
glued it in.
That
I,
sucks.
all right. Well, I get that much. That may change the next couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Chris Morris, 1 minute. Worth it or not?
I think it's cool, right? Like, I'm not sure how much prosthetic costs, but I'm sure it actually costs pretty close to whatever they're saying this price tag was, 85,000. So, I mean, I guess the real question is whether your insurance company covers a Metal Gear Solid prosthetic, or if they just want you to get kind of like the vanilla one from like, Joe Schmo's like prosthetic shop down the street. But no, it's definitely rad. I mean, this guy should basically always cosplay as Venom Snake at every convention from now on if he's got like a real on prosthetic arm. That's like good for him, man. He should make some money off that thing.
All right. I will give you 2 vanilla prosthetics.
Vanilla.
Delicious.
They're like the ones that only have the hook, That's
Yeah, it's 2 left arms.
okay, and they're both lefts. I like it. Lola just improved my reward by a lot, like tenfold. Nick Golish, you can have the final minute.
You don't want it?
Go for it.
I don't know. I think it's silly because what is it? Like, it's silly to like put a price tag on this because what we're saying is like we none of us actually have any like knowledge of what these prosthetics actually cost, but my guess is it's several tens of thousands of dollars already, just because anything healthcare related is overpriced.
Right.
Even though it's just a piece of plastic that has a drone that shoots out and it gets me a latte when I want it to. like that's what this one sounds like it does. But I don't know. Like, is it worth $85,000? If you asked me that question like a few minutes ago, but with the way Lola phrased it, where I said, what if I didn't have an arm? I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd pay a lot of money to have my arm
Like,
back.
it'd be nice to have an arm again. But if I had the option, wouldn't I like get something better than an arm? Like, I don't know.
Like an octopus?
Yeah, like a bunch, like some kind of crazy tentacle that I could do, like wrap people up with, and
I don't know how to feel about that.
you should feel great.
I do feel great. I'm gonna give you.
Why do I need another arm?
Jesus Christ. I'm gonna give you 5 lattes delivered to you by the drone that you summoned from your arm.
Yeah. No, I thought it was
Your
attached to
prosthetic
my
arm.
arm. I thought there was like a drone that shoots out of my shoulder and it'll bring me a latte. And
Yeah.
I can plug
That's what I just
can
said.
plug the latte into the USB port because it needs to stay warm.
You're confusing me now.
Because it comes in a USB mug that keeps itself warm.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, totally. That makes
And
a lot
it's
of
really
sense.
dark, so the LEDs let me see at night.
Hey, I just Google searched the price of a artificial limb, and Google search delivers, and the price of a new prosthetic leg can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000, and an upper extremity device can range from $3,000 to $30,000.
Okay.
Man, that's a large gap though. That's so
So
hard
yeah,
to.
85,000.
Well, it's basically
almost
peg
10
leg
times.
or like a realistic looking arm.
Yeah, I just looked up on eBay, and if it's like a plastic with like a knee bent, then it's like 5,000 ish. Some of them are as low as like 1,500. If it's just like like a metal that lets you
Right.
kind of prop your leg into it, but.
Come with pirate
I'm
hat?
assuming if it's like mechanical, like you can grab a can of soda or something that gets pretty high. Into like
With my
tens of
prosthetic leg, I can
$1,000.
grab a soda can?
If it's a hand.
Oh.
Well, that's still it would be an
Yeah.
improvement over a foot.
Like
if
a
they did-
prosthetic hand is $11,000.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So they're already
So it's not a big-
expensive.
yeah, they're- well,
we
yeah.
knew that, but yeah.
But times 8, and you get LED lights.
Yeah,
according
and
to
you get
Nate.
light ups. Yeah. And glued in motors.
It should be worth it to note the individual working on this actually does have I believe a GoFundMe. Correct me if I'm wrong. He has a funding campaign that you can look up, where he's gonna get, because he has to wear like a really large strap that goes around like his whole entire body in order to hold this device on.
Okay.
And there's a surgery he can get that will put I think it's I don't know what it's made of. It's like a metal extension that it'll hook directly into, because it's got the ball bearing and stuff that you can clip the piece into. So he's currently running the GoFundMe now, so check it out. And because that's got to be really ridiculously annoying every single day to get up and have to like put 5 straps over yourself to like
to hold your arm on.
To hold your arm on.
Well, you can't even do it like this because you don't have another arm.
Yeah,
to do
and you
it.
have
So
one arm to start, so you have
Yeah.
to figure out how to do it with one arm. That would drive me insane.
Yeah, that would probably be incredibly difficult. I can't even envision trying to do that. So yeah, go check that out. Anyone have any final thoughts on today's episode? How much you enjoyed it?
I liked it. It was good, especially the parts about the video games.
I like the part of the video games. Yeah.
Video games are awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I
You
think.
should buy another one.
Yeah, buy the next one.
Whoa! Let's not get too indulgent.
Some video games are less than Nickelback posters, in case anyone's wondering.
I'm for sure
a lot of video
games are
games.
less than Nickelback posters.
Not true. You should listen to the show that you are a panelist on every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
Lola, one last time, we not only do we appreciate you being on the show, but let people know where they might be able to track you down on Twitter, or where they hit you up for any information on what you might be working on in the future.
Well, I guess Twitter is the best place to come find me, I guess. My Twitter is @ChibiLola. It's pretty simple.
Cool. She was like, I didn't want to let people know how to stalk me.
Now we know.
How did that happen?
Now it's too late.
It's on the internet.
Hello, Internet.
How are you today?
Yeah. All right. I think we've microwaved the nachos long enough for this episode. Number 87. It's number 7. Number 7.
Number 7, guys.
Yeah. Episode 87 is effectively in the books, everybody. Thank you for being here, dear listener. And know that we're always curious to hear what you think. Please hit us up on cheatcodespodcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, all that other shit. Get in on the conversation. Stay tuned for a new episode coming next week. As always, every week, make sure you check out the giveaways portion of the site. Get your hands on some free stuff. Who does not like free stuff?
I don't like free stuff.
Some people don't.
You don't? Oh, sorry. For those who like free stuff, it's not a conspiracy. See you next time. Prestige worldwide. Wide.
Why?
Bye.
Bye.